Hey, what's going on? It's Jim again, and I'm coming to you from my office. This morning I was listening to the radio, and they were talking about God's plan for each of us, and it amazes me over the last couple of months how many people have asked me, well, how do you know about God's plan? And how do you know God's plan is perfect? And I always refer back to Genesis 45:5, and that's where Joseph was sold into slavery, and he meets his brothers and he tells them, do not be distressed and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. So God's plan was perfect. Years before, God sent Joseph on a caravan to Pharaoh, and Joseph found favor, and because of Joseph finding favor, years later when the famine hit, Joseph was able to take care of his brothers. And I know for us sometimes it's often difficult to understand that God is fulfilling His plan in our lives, especially when times are tough. Those are the hardest times. When Joseph was sold into slavery, he probably struggled with discerning God's plan and God's will for his life. Nevertheless, many years later, he recognized that God had been with him throughout it all. God had never left Joseph. God was always there, and God's plan was always in motion when Joseph went through everything he went through. You know, God determines the pattern of our life. Sometimes in our present circumstances, it's difficult. And as difficult as it might be, we have to hold on to the assurance that God is busy working out His perfect plan for your life. He is. God is working on that plan for your life always. Life's darkest moments can become a testimony of God's perfect purpose for your life. So no matter what you're going through today, no matter what all is happening and taking place in your lives, know that God's plan is perfect. And it may seem dark and it may seem crazy, just like Joseph. Imagine a 13-year-old kid being sold by his brothers to a caravan of slave traders and then being delivered to Egypt, to Pharaoh, as one of his servants. And then Joseph becoming this mighty man. And years later, his family comes to him in need. And there's Joseph ready to help them. God's plan was perfect. God's plan is perfect for you and for your life and for your family's life. Don't trust in your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge God, and He will set your path straight. All right, later.